Inside the hill climb in the Regent Centre in the grounds of the Chateau was a large classic car auction with some very interesting lots going under the hammer.
£750, fair warning, are you sure and done?
Yes, we've got 71 cars on offer this afternoon, and everything from Edwardian cars through to more modern classics, so sort of BMW M3s and that sort of thing, and price range from a few £1,000s through to hundreds of thousands of pounds. So try to cater for all age ranges, and there's a good mixture of road and competition cars. The car behind us is a 1956 Allard Palm Beach Mark II. It's one of the last 6 cars that Allard made between 1956 and 1958, and it was actually on Allard's display stand at the 1956 Earls Court Motor Show. But what's really special about it and lovely is that a couple of years ago it was brought back into the Allard family by Sidney's son and grandson, and they undertook a ground-up restoration, so they brought it back to its former glory. But it's a car that was built by Allard and restored by Allard, which has got to be unique. The guide price for that car, which is difficult to put any kind of price on a car like that because of the history, but the guide price is 80 to 100,000, which, to be honest, wouldn't really cover the cost of restoration.
After some strong bidding, the Allard Palm Beach sold for a healthy £89,600.
The car behind is a 1933 Riley Kestrel 12.6 saloon. It is the archetypal barn find. It has been pulled out of long-term dry storage. I think it's been inactive for about 30-odd years. And it's an important car in the sense that Riley, with the 6-cylinder engine that powers that, the 12 horsepower 6-cylinder engine, that was what Raymond Mays used as the basis for his ERAs. In fact, he's supposed to have had a Kestrel saloon with ERA running gear in it and about 200 brake horsepower, which must have been terrifying. The estimate, £14,000 to £18,000. Sadly, it's worth that, if not more, as a kit of parts. But we sincerely hope, as does the vendor, that whoever buys it will restore it back to its former glory.
The Riley Kestrel may need a lot of work, but that didn't seem to deter the crowd. It sold for £26,320.
Thank you all very much indeed.
Here on the stage we have a 1938 Alta Voiturette supercharged single-seater. The Alta concern was a small factory. Really, everything was done by the founder, Geoffrey Taylor. He used to make even the superchargers as well as the engines. And again, he was a slightly maverick engineer, but this would have been a rival in period to the ERAs. It's really quite a trick bit of kit in period. It raced at Brooklands and Crystal Palace. It survived the Second World War. It re-emerged thereafter, and it went to the new tracks like Silverstone and Goodwood. So it was raced extensively from the 30s all the way through to the 60s. In terms of performance, okay, it's a late 30s single-seater, and it's nothing like the performance of the great mighty Silver Arrows, the Auto Union or the Mercedes, but you're still looking at about 250 brake horsepower, runs on methanol, so it's a very, very fast little car and a fantastic history. Guide price for this car is £130,000 to £150,000, which again, obviously it's a lot of money, but in terms of an ERA, which is its natural competitor, it's a fraction of the price of an ERA. So nice history and great performance per pound.
Thanks for your bids and letting me know.
The Alta reached £130,000 worth of bidding, not quite enough to make its reserve, so it's still waiting for a new home.
It's a 1957 MGA twin-cam prototype, and as the title suggests, it was a factory prototype. It was used by MG to develop the engine for the new twin-cam model, and also the car was fitted with 4-wheel disc brakes, which was a novelty in the late 50s. It was something you'd find on a Jaguar D-type racer, but the twin-cam was one of the first production models to have 4-wheel disc brakes. It was sold off by the factory at those times when they could sell off prototypes. These days all manufacturers have to crush their prototypes, but that was actually sold off. It was bought by John Good, who was one of the factory development engineers, and he went racing with it the following year. Thereafter, it was passed through various hands and carried on being used as a race car. And the current owner bought it 20-odd years ago. He's an MG enthusiast, but he's not really had time to race it. But because of its history, it's been invited to a lot of events and gatherings and things like that. So it's been more of a show car, a true factory prototype with some period competition history and a nice backstory and a continuous ownership chain. So the guide price is £45,000 to £55,000, which would be towards the top end for a road-going MGA twin-cam roadster. But for that car with that history, it doesn't strike us as expensive.
Well, the MG received plenty of attention, but in the end, it failed to find a new home.
14,000 on my right stood.
Behind me is a 1957 Land Rover Series 1. It's on the 88-inch wheelbase. It was supplied new to the Home Office Civil Defence, so it was sort of first run by Captain Mannering, if you like. They are quite sought after by Land Rover enthusiasts, those SXF registration number vehicles, because they're known to have led a gentle life. So they were released into civilian use or sold to the public, and they are cherished and sought after, and there's in fact a register for them and all that sort of thing. Series 1 Land Rovers over the last few years have grown in stature. The 50th anniversary in '98 was the start of a sort of upward trend, and it's carried on since then. And now naturally we're coming to the end of the life of the Defender, which is the sort of distant relation of these Series 1s because it's the last separate chassis Land Rover. So it's the end of an era, and again that's piqued interest. There are people buying Defenders out of showrooms to salt them away, and again people buying and restoring Series 1 Land Rovers. The very early Series 1 Land Rovers, the late 40s ones, now a beautifully restored example is well over 50,000. Guide price for this is 28 to 32. Again, that wouldn't cover the professional restoration costs.
The old off-roader proved popular and bidding was fierce. The Land Rover eventually selling for £27,440.